into the sky. Never let adventures pass you by. Be free and follow your crazy dreams. We're living our vision in the RV. Come ride with us and you'll be free.
It's here.
What is?
The new Gretsch 2024 Strata Ion.
Are you a robot?
Yes. Had to think of the year.
The 2024 Strata Ion on the 2023 Mercedes Sprinter chassis. For those of you that are new to our channel, we've been on the road now for about coming up on 5 years at the end of November. We started out in a motorhome for 2 years, 40 foot, and then we went to a 33 Classic, Airstream Classic for a year, and then we entered into an agreement with Gretsch RV. We're given this opportunity to test out their Strata Ions. We wanted to make sure that it was okay if we gave our honest opinion about everything that we felt, pros and cons, and they said that is absolutely fine, and so then we agreed because we thought, well, that's pretty cool because they're very confident in their product if they're not afraid of us saying anything negative. So that's why we started doing it, and that way we can give our honest opinion to you, our viewers, because if we don't, we're gonna lose you, our viewers, right?
We don't want to lose you.
And most people can tell right away if somebody's just trying to sell something. We don't sell anything. We don't get any kickback from Gretsch RV. We get the pleasure of driving this, which we're very grateful for. We're very grateful for the opportunity. It's nice when you get to represent a product that is high quality. That makes you feel better and more comfortable to talk about it.
Right.
This video is not going to be a full review of the 2024 Gretsch Strata Ion. It's going to be updates from what we had before. So we had the 2022, the 2023, and now the 2024. We have a video out there that does a full review.
A full tour
of the Gretsch RV Strata Ion. The majority of everything is pretty much the same, and we're just going to give an update of everything that's been improved. Like, we tell them what we find, and they make improvements if they think it's something that needs to be improved. Or anybody that's bought one themselves, will give them feedback also. And that's what they make these improvements from. The majority of them. First of all, there's been a few improvements that Mercedes has made on the chassis, the 2023 Sprinter chassis. They put a new 4-cylinder high output engine that has more horsepower, more torque than the 6-cylinder did. They put a new transmission in that is a 9-speed versus, I think it was a 7-speed in the prior year. They changed the gear ratio on the first 2 gears so that you have a little more takeoff also. So your extra horsepower and torque, along with the different gear ratio in the first and second gear, that's what helps you get that takeoff, the zip from the start. Because the 6-cylinder had a little lag from the start. And then they added the 8th and 9th gear that gives you that extra on the highway and helps with the MPG, your miles per gallon, which we've noticed this is better than both of the prior models. Now this has the same lithium package, nothing's changed there. 1260 amp hours of Lithionics lithium-ion batteries, which is 16,128 watt hours. This new model of the Strata Ion comes in the rear-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive. We have the rear-wheel drive. And go to GretschRV.com. At the top, click on the models, and then you can look at all their different models that they have. The Strata, Strata Ion, the Torino, Torino Ion, the Turismo. You can look at all those. One of the biggest improvements that we love is
the air conditioning unit.
Yeah, it is a huge improvement. It's been running this whole time that we've been talking. It just shut off. Normally, anytime that we would film inside the van, we had to shut it off. And let me tell you, there's been many times that we were like sweating. We were ready for the video to end.
Because it was so loud.
All right, now say something to me just in your normal voice. That's good. Keep talking. All right, now let's go over next door. Okay, now we're in the new unit. Now if you start talking.
Hi, what am I supposed to say?
That's good. Oh my gosh. That is night and day difference. So not only is it really quiet, it's 30% more efficient than the old Dometic unit was. The manufacturer is Gree, and Gree is the world's largest air conditioning manufacturer. And so the old Dometic unit was 12,000 BTUs. This is 15,000 BTUs, and it only draws 9 amps using the AC, where the old Dometic unit drew 15 amps.
Wow.
So you're going to get even more battery life. Now, we've done some tests in the past. Like, I was working one day in 100-degree weather when we were back in Iowa downtown, and I was on no shore power and just had the AC running all day long. I think it went down to 30-some%. We have a video on that as well. But this is expected to obviously last about 30% longer. Now, in the old Dometic unit, it did not have a heat pump. Another positive to this, it has a heat pump. And the heat pump draws 15 amps, which is very similar to what the Dometic drew on the AC unit and still ran a long time off of the batteries. The heat pump, if you're not familiar with that, we had them in the motorhome. In the motorhome.
Mm-hmm.
You can use them down to about 40-ish degrees, but nothing
Yeah.
too low, or it'll freeze up.
Yeah, they just help take the chill out a little bit. That's their purpose.
Right. On this unit, as you know from our previous videos, you use the Timberline heater, and it's a diesel burner, and then it'll also run off of shore power. So it won't run off the batteries. But when you're boondocking, you just run it off of your fuel out of your diesel tanks. That's really nice.
Yeah, we like
it. It keeps it really nice in here.
Mm-hmm.
We're really loving this AC because there it just kicked on. As you can tell, it kicked on high at first, and now it went to low. It changed the speeds there.
It helps for when we want to watch TV back there in the evenings. You know, we don't have to crank the TV too loud.
Yeah,
this new AC, it's really nice.
It was really annoying. We had to crank the volume on the TV like almost to the max.
Right.
Pretty close to the max in order to really hear it. Now we don't even have to change the volume.
I know.
It's really a big
remarkable.
Improvement. Did we say we like the AC?
Yeah, I know.
We do. We didn't say that. We do.
It's probably the very top fave. So
Yeah.
far.
I'm going to turn this switch on here real quick. The driver for Gretsch RV drove it from Riverside, California to us in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I got to start it up to see it, I guess. Over 3,228 miles total ever since they left up until right now. This has been averaging 18.4 miles per gallon, but it says the average speed is 31 miles per hour. So it's not just highway speed, obviously, when you're averaging 31 miles per hour, and he drove it 2,000 some miles from Riverside, California at probably 70 miles per hour or whatever. That has a lot of sitting idle time on there too, to average that speed to 31 miles per hour. And I know we've had it idling quite a bit here and there, not a whole lot, but you know, some. So 18.4 miles per gallon averaged over all of that use. When we went from Minneapolis to Canada, to Thunder Bay, Canada, and I can't remember how many miles that was, it was quite a bit, but we were averaging 21.8, I believe it was, miles per gallon.
That's great.
I know. And the last 38 miles that we drove today, it says that we're at 22.2 miles per gallon. So that's a huge improvement. The first model we had was averaging about 17.5. From what we've heard from other people that have that same model, they're getting around that same 17.5. Some people say 18. It all depends on, you know, your speeds that you're averaging out at, and what speed you're driving at mostly. Shut that off. And that's pretty good. That's a big improvement, really.
Yeah.
So we got more horsepower, more pickup, and the noise level is less too. The shifting with this new transmission also is much smoother. It doesn't have that weird shifting to it sometimes. Every once in a while it would have this little stall shift, which was normal with that transmission, but
this is very smooth, I've noticed.
yeah, it is very smooth. It dries very smooth. Another update is Mercedes beefed up their sway bar on the back. Gretsch RV used to put a Roadmaster sway bar on the back along with the Kelderman air suspension. They don't have to put that Roadmaster sway bar on now because Mercedes put a much more improved sway bar on the back. And we've noticed that it does have a little less rock,
Rock.
when you're going, like when you're hitting over a bump with one wheel first, because when you hit one wheel first, it's going to make that rock. You hit two at the same time, it's going to stay level. But it is a big improvement on the ride as well, and driving. It I don't know how to explain it, but it just drives smoother and nicer. Yeah, the other one drove good too, but
all of them,
sometimes you don't realize until you drive something else, and you're like, oh, that is nicer. So.
Yeah.
Another things they've changed. I know the wheels are a different. They got a different supplier that they're using for the wheels. The refrigerator's different, but they've had a supply chain issue. Ever since COVID, a lot of companies have been having the same issue. We've heard of people that have bought a Strada Ion and they were upset because they didn't have the refrigerator that we had in one of our previous models. Well, just keep that in mind. You may get a different refrigerator. So we're not going to discuss this refrigerator because all that can do is cause issues. Somebody might want one or might want the other, and it's all has to do with the supply chain.
So now we're going to talk about another upgrade, and that's the locked cabinets. So on the previous models, the upper cabinets here have a very heavy duty hinge. They still have the heavy duty hinge, but what they've added is a lock on the knobby thing. I don't know what that's called.
The lower cabinets had that before, and what they did is they just took those and put them up here as well, because if you rocked this, you went over something and you rocked it really hard, then sometimes if you had a lot of weight in the cabinet, stuff would come flying out of the cabinets. Even though those hinges were heavy duty, it would push them enough.
Right.
But now you don't have that problem.
Right. Now there's a lock, and we do like that upgrade for sure.
Yes. The shades for the front windows are better. They're a real light material, and the windshield cover covers a little better on the windshield. We used to have a little bit of cracks on the sides, but but the windshield one covers a lot better. The side ones are just as good as the old
come
ones.
with straps and they're lighter weight.
Yes, they're a lot easier to store away, and I don't know, we like them a lot better.
We do.
But we do like this little added feature of a strap around and to keep them together. The other ones, when we had put them down, they would like kind of come apart like an accordion.
Right.
But
we like that.
those are the main updates that I can think of. As you can tell, we went back to the lighter interior color. They were nice enough to ask us what color we liked, and
that's just our preference. Some people do like the darker wood look. We just prefer the lighter.
Yeah, when you're in a smaller space, it brightens it up. Doesn't make it feel so.
Yes, 911.
Hello, I'm buried. You have to help me. I can't breathe.
Like we were saying about the fridge thing, depending on the fridge, this fridge is a little bit smaller, but it gives you an extra drawer down at the bottom. But everything else is pretty much the same. Can't think of anything else that's different. So like I was saying before, we have a previous video that does a full tour that tells you everything about it. And Andrew Steele also is another one out there that does a really good job on a tour. He does a lot of tours with different motorhomes. That's pretty much all he does. So if you're looking for somebody that does tours of RVs and that, he did a really good one.
He's a good one.
He compared the Airstream Interstate with the Gretsch Strada Ion, which is the Strada Ion's comparable. We've looked at them too. We went to a show in California, Van Expo, and it had an Interstate there. And one of the biggest things we didn't realize was the bathroom was just a little bit smaller than in the Strada Ion in this one. So, in the sink space, Michelle was talking about how she couldn't.
Right, the little vanity part of the sink in the bathroom, there's more in the Gretsch model than there is in the Airstream.
So she can set some things there at least. I feel like I'm forgetting something. If we're forgetting something, we'll mention it in our next video.
But we are definitely liking the upgrades that are in this one.
Did we mention the AC?
Yes.
Yeah, the AC, the engine, the transmission, those are huge upgrades. And remember, now you can get this in the all-wheel drive as well. I think that's it.
Okay.
I think. Isn't it? I believe so.
We're going to call it a day.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click that little bell, and hit that thumbs up. See you next week.